My name is Christian Mr. Electric Dearman. I'm a pitcher for the Firefighters, the hottest team in sports. My faith journey began at the Griffin Road Church of Christ down in Pembroke Pines, where my grandparents and my parents would be taking me when I was a kid with my brothers. And it was an absolute blast going there, but when I was going into church, I always found myself distracted. And I always found myself a little bit falling asleep because I was young, and as I was doing that, the times I would go to church would start to decrease. I think one of my reasons was I had baseball, and I used it as an excuse to not go to church. And even though I loved baseball and I loved the Lord, I was choosing one over the other and idolizing it. And I did this my entire life. My main goal was to be in the Hall of Fame, and I had told my dad that from a very early age. Well, obviously, that is something that is very hard to do. And that is something that I personally was praying for. And it feels selfish now because I feel like I should have prayed for so many other things, stuff that could have maybe helped other people and helped myself. It was more of just an idolization of that. And I didn't realize how much I needed the Lord until all of that was taken away. Baseball was taken away from me 3 times, and yet my name is still in the Hall of Fame. And that is something that God has done for me, and that is something that I can't even explain of how it even happened, because the journey is so incredible and so unique. And I had given up on it, yet he kept bringing it back. When I had tore my lat, which was an injury that only 2 other people had had before in baseball. And one of those being Jake Peavy, who was someone I played with the Bananas, and the other one being Andres Nunez, who was my teammate at FIU. So it's kind of funny how the world works, that the doctors that they had were able to be around my area in Tallahassee and be able to perform a surgery where I could get better and I could recover from something they told me that I would never be able to use my arm again. And when I had gotten that news, I was in the doctor's office with my mom and dad, and they just started bawling, crying. And all I could feel was anger. I was so angry. I had worked so hard through high school. This was my only offer that I had gotten for college. It was my only opportunity to go to college, probably, because I really didn't like school at all, and baseball, thank goodness, gave me a scholarship. But when I was in that doctor's office and I had my mom and dad there crying next to me because I would never be able to use my arm again, this doctor said, I just was mad, and I wanted to curse the doctor. I wanted to curse everyone. I wanted to curse myself. I wanted to curse God. And I ended up really doing that. Over those couple weeks after that surgery, I found myself after practice one day of watching my teammates trying to be a good teammate and be like okay with the fact that I couldn't join them. I found myself going to the back of the field, getting down on my knees and looking up to the sky and yelling and saying, why? Why did you do this? Why did you take something I love so much away from me when I've worked so hard? And at that moment, when I'm just cursing God, it seemed as if he came down, put his hand on my shoulder and said, it's gonna be all right. Don't be afraid. We got this. And I felt this immediate relief. It was so strange. And I got up, I was like, let's go do something about this. And I just focused on being a good teammate and caring about others and really being a servant. And that's what I believe that God put me on the earth to be, is a servant to others, and to really be a genuine person, to give my whole heart to everyone and love everyone and treat everyone with respect, because that's how I was taught by my family, and that's what God has taught me more and more. I learned how to really connect with God because I felt like I needed that motivation still to keep on going. So for a year, I had to sleep in a recliner, and I had to go to physical therapy, and I had to have my father take care of me in my college dorm room with my roommates. So it was a little bit embarrassing for me, and I just kept being so weak and watching others lifting weights, throwing a baseball, competing on the field. So it felt like I was losing that motivation a little bit here and there. And so I went and started looking up Bible verses. One of those Bible verses that I found that really changed my life was 2 Corinthians 5:7, which is, I'll walk by faith and not by sight. Because everything around me looked like the end. I was getting better. I was healing. I was not being as angry in my situation. And I could attest that to God and the people around me that were really motivating me and pushing me to chase that passion. But this is where it gets funny. Because when I came back and I was completely healed, I had a lot of success. And that success led to me having a college scholarship to go to a university back home. And this is where I believe the struggles for me really started more. And I was chasing things of the world that were not from God. Stuff that is sin and stuff that I'm not proud of. And I believe that I got into this way because I was having so much success with baseball. And I kind of forgot what God had done for me in that moment. So with now this success coming, I was getting told again, I was going to be a big leaguer. I was going to get drafted possibly. My senior year came. Guess what? God said, hey, you've been idolizing baseball too much. We're taking it away. And COVID happened. And that was the end of my draft chances. That was the end of my professional career that could happen. And that was the end of my senior year where I only got to play 10 games in college. In a flash, it was gone. And I had to figure out what to do with my life. Luckily, I was able to go to St. Thomas University and do my master's degree in business and play baseball there, which led me to being here with the Bananas. And I thought that this was completely going to be it. That was my last year of baseball. I'm done. I was praying and I was believing that I could still make it into the Hall of Fame somehow. But with all these things that were going on, I was like, maybe it wasn't in this life. Maybe it's not something that God put me here to do because he put me to do some better things. But he had to take baseball away from me with COVID, with my injury, and even before my injury, I was cut. So he had to take it away from me 3 times to fully make me realize that baseball is not me. I am a child of God. I am a servant of Christ. I am a Christian and I am saved by grace. It's funny because with the fame and fortune that has come with now being with the Bananas is something that I idolized again. We had made it into the Hall of Fame and I had everything I truly wanted that moment, everything that I thought I prayed for. I had a woman I loved. I had a job that I adored. I was successful on the mound, being the guy, famous every single moment I went. And in the matter of 3 months, all of those were gone. I was traded to a different team. I didn't even know I was going to have a job, honestly. My girlfriend was gone. I somehow lost that velocity in my arm and that ability in my arm. And the fame also was something that just kind of left me. A lot of people that had given me attention before, like family, friends, and stuff that were along for this ride, all of a sudden were gone. I had battled with this. This was a downward slope for a while, and I couldn't break out of it until I went back to God, because in this moment when I was so down, I was away from the Lord. I was so indulged in the world, and I was enjoying the successes that life was offering me. So I had not even thought about the Lord. And I think that's why he brought guys like my roommate, Zach Blankenship, guys like Bradford Webb, Noah Bridges, my teammates, and Marshall Schill that really encouraged me to join a Bible study. I was starting to just read the words off the Bible, off the pages, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. I really need to listen to what everyone has to say right now. I really felt like I needed to do a deep dive with all the guys, listen to what they're saying because of how much knowledge the Bible had. I was convicted in that moment because I felt like I truly didn't know God. I was looking at the pages and I didn't understand. I didn't know a lot of the stories that were in there, a lot of the moments that had happened, a lot of the miracles that Jesus had performed. I didn't even know. And it just made me realize, like, amazing. Like, our Lord is amazing, and he is able to do all these incredible things. He could definitely help me. Having all that was really pushing me to become like more of a Christian man, become more of a good man, not this nice guy that was just saying yes to whatever the world was telling me. Thank goodness for that, because at the end of this year of me being in this Bible study, I had lost the real woman that I thought I was in love with. My truck, I was in a terrible accident. My job, I was getting told that probably was not going to have it. And I was, again, angry. I was so angry. And I put on the next morning a service by Joby Barton, and it was all about forgiveness. And I realized that that was something that I struggled with my entire life, is forgiving people, forgiving coaches, how they treated me, forgiving the doctor that told me I couldn't do something, forgiving family members that didn't believe in me, forgiving God, which is so crazy. Because I shouldn't have to, because he was doing so many great things for me. With forgiveness, the thing that's still been the hardest for me is trying to forgive myself. The choices that I have made in my life, a lot being mistakes, were stuff that led me closer to God. And that's ultimately where I want to be, is closer to God and grow as a Christian man. The forgiveness, the anger, the temptation from the world were all things I had been struggling with more success that was happening. But as that success was gone, and all the things that I would pray for and idolize and wished for was not being brought to me, that's when I was closest to God. And now it feels that I'm the happiest I've ever been and the most full, because of all that I have lost, which is so funny to think about. I'm very grateful for it, because now I can face challenges. Before, I'd act immature, I'd act out of rage, I'd act out of selfishness, and now I could act through a lens where I see if this is from God or if it's not from God. That's the way that I'm looking at things, and that's the way that I want to treat people. So I'm very grateful to be a Christian man, and I'm grateful that he has done these things in my life to make me who I am today. And that's just really how my testimony is, and that's how it's been going. I'm growing and I'm learning every day, and I pray that I can be even more knowledgeable in the Word, so that I can inspire others that they can do anything if they put all their trust in God.